Sorry, I caught you. I'm short. Okay. Bye, people. Okay, to make your guys' lives a lot easier, how many of you were really struggling with those rolling pins, rolling clay out? It's hard, right? Honestly, those rolling pins are really terrible. They're too small, they don't have a lot of weight behind them, so it makes for a really poor way to try to roll out clay. So to help you, you're going to first learn how to throw a slab. It will help you significantly. The idea is when you throw it down, you're also going to pull it towards you at the same exact time, and that will flatten it out much faster and easier, okay? And it's going to take a little bit of time, and you're going to have to rotate it and spin it upside down.
Whoa.
Could you throw it like a pizza?
Not really. The gravity doesn't really help. It's the force of on the table that helps pull it out. Okay? Once you've got it most of the way flat, you see how that is a lot easier to work with than what it was. Then you can use, how many of you figured out to use these sticks on either side? I'm hoping all of you did. Also, this is a rolling pin that's actually usable. Okay? If you're using one of those crappy ones and you have the opportunity to come up and use this one, be my guest. Leave it at the demo table, bring your clay here, roll it out over here, okay? And that way everybody can use it if they need to. Eventually, I'll be purchasing a slab roller, but until then, this is what we have. But with it slabbed out the way I did, it shouldn't take near as much time to roll, okay? Now, okay, hey girls, I'm videotaping. Would you mind slamming another time? Thank you. I don't think Stormy even heard me. Oh, okay. Okay, so now I gave you these forms. Is it wrong to use this form to make your slab? No, it's not wrong. However, did anybody try to use that form and have it stick? Yeah, that's not good. What could you do to prevent it from sticking to this? Don't spray it with water, it'll make it stickier. Paper towel. Okay, you can put paper towel around that and then use that to create your form. However, what if you wanted to do a square mug, an oval mug? Is this a good way to do it? No, because this is only a one way. This is only one way. So the only thing I actually use this for when I do my mugs is to cut out my base. So cut out your base. Now, do you have to have it this big? What do you think I'm going to say? No. Do you have to have it this small?
No.
No. You could go bigger. Just find something circular to trace around. To find the circumference of whatever shape you're using, cut yourself a long strip of clay. Put it around the outside. It almost fits. And use that to measure the length of your circumference. Okay, does that make sense? Anybody use this while you were working? You have basically 3 rules. It's got to be functional, as in you've got to be able to use it to drink from. Number 2, it's got to be bigger than 3.5 inches. And the 3rd rule is it's got to have a handle. Okay? So when I do this, I'm using this strip of clay to measure how long it needs to be. But for the height on it, I'm going to use the ruler and go to about 3.5 inches. Do tick marks, 1 on each side. Use the stick to connect the dots. Use the ruler to cut off my edges. Okay. And then you should have something that you can actually work with. Okay. And check it. Oh no! If it's too short, guess what you have to do?
Redo.
Redo. If it's too long, it's easy enough to just slice it off, use the ruler. Like if it was too long, I could just go like this and then cut. When it's too short like this, though, you have to redo it. Dang it. I didn't measure very well, did I? Maybe this side's still usable. No, it's not. This is going to be more work. Did I say one from last year? No, I didn't. Make the circle smaller? Maybe.
Just the inside of them.
Yeah, I guess I could do that. I prefer to use the outside, that way you have plenty of room to put your hand in, but you could technically put it on the top of that base. Good problem solvers. Good job, guys.
What happens if it's too big?
If it's too big, you just cut. So I'm going to show you now it's too big. It's officially too big for the top. It was too small for the bottom, too big for the top. So you take your ruler, line it up.
You don't want to start off the top.
You can, they end up looking better for whatever reason when you guys do them around the edge outside. But I've seen good ones come from going on the top as well. Okay, now, this is what's called a soft slab, all right? It's really easy to work with, really easy to knit. You don't have to even slip and score when you have a soft slab. But is there anybody, there might be some of you in here, I should say, that want to go bigger. Okay, there are some problems that you're going to encounter when you go taller. What do you think those might be?
You can't knit the bottom.
Yeah, it's harder to get inside and knit. What about the firmness of the slab? Do you think it might start collapsing in on itself? It will, by the way. It will. If the slab is too soft, it will start collapsing in. So in order, what I would do, day one, especially if you're going to go bigger, cut your slab, lay it out flat, bag it for a day and let it get just a little bit firmer, and then it will hold its shape as you put it onto your project. Okay? This is especially true when you go to build like boxes. You'll want what are called stiff slabs, where you literally, you let them get leather hard, and then you put them together and you piece them together. But what would happen if I were to take a slab and let it get to leather hard stage and then try to bend it? It'd break and crack. So you can't let it quite get leather hard, but you don't want it to be super soft either. All right, when you knit this, you've got to knit that bottom. You've got to knit that together or it's going to leak. You also need to knit this part right here. Do you go across the seam or up and down? Cross. It's like sewing. You go across the two pieces of fabric together, right? Now, because this is on the bottom, I'm just going to knit it up. You always knit from the bottom up, even on the inside. Trying to go fast. Oh, and I missed some spots. I know, right? I'm amazing. I am, actually. Ouch. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I would much rather build a mug on the wheel, but you guys got to learn how to do slabs. So, okay, pulling clay up onto the clay wall is best, just FYI. From here, you're going to have to just spray, use your hand to kind of like smooth that all out, and then you'll use your actual sponge. But what about this outside? Is that pretty? Is that pretty ugly? Pretty gnarly? It's pretty gnarly. It's ugly. This is what one of these tools are for, is to smooth it. So if you put your hand on the inside and use your rib tool from the out, and you lift that clay while you're pressing at the same time, it smooths all those disgusting boogers, clay boogers is what we call them, completely out. And you just spin it and you keep going. Does that make sense? Then you can put your hand down on the inside, hopefully if your hand is not too small or too big and your mug isn't too small. And then you can also use your sponge and press that down. And then if you're having a lot of issues, I've got this fancy sponge on a stick. And you spray it. And you push it down in there. So like James will probably have to use this. Right?
Why don't you start with that?
Well, honestly, because it doesn't knit very well. It just cleans it up. You have to knit it first. You've got to get it knitted well. Otherwise, it won't stay together. Okay, so keep that in mind. Then the next, what? Oh, did Cassidy struggle with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you just continue to clean it up. Then you put on your handle. Couple of pointers about putting on handles, you guys. Most of the time, okay, it's going to shrink. If you can put 4 fingers in the beginning, you're probably only going to be able to put 3 in at the end. Okay, it shrinks that much. Second, if it attaches in 2 points, it's going to be a lot more user-friendly than if it only attaches in 1 spot. Third, never ever pick up a leather hard piece by the handle. only after it's been fired. It will break off. 100% guaranteed. It will break off if you try to pick it up before it's been fired. Last but not least, if you're going to do something sculptural on it for the handle, just make sure there's enough there that you can actually grab it. So like, you remember that mug she showed in the PowerPoint with the fish tail that kind of came up and around? Like, make sure there's enough to actually grab it with, okay? These mugs are really great because, you know, they're dishwasher safe, they're microwave safe, they're food safe. And the best part about them, I actually had made my sister a set for Christmas one year of mugs. And she had a friend over and they were having their coffee and she stole it. Essentially, she asked for it and my sister gave it away to her because the mugs themselves, what's great about them is that they don't hold, you know how some mugs, when you put them in the microwave, the ceramic itself is too hot to touch, but then the liquid inside isn't very cool or isn't very warm? These mugs don't do that. They stay cool to the touch, but the liquid inside stays nice and hot. And so they're really nice. You know, they're really nice mugs. If you make a good one, they can be very useful. So that's just a couple of things to keep in mind when you're doing your handle. Not too big, not too small. Make sure you can use it to pick it up, but don't test it out before it's fired. Okay? Questions? Yeah.
For the rim, do you want?
Oh, because it's not very clean?
No, like, it's thick.
It is thick. So he's got a really good question. This is a very thick rim, right? That's kind of thick for a mug. If you have mugs at home, you know they're quite thin. I'm actually going to be going to Home Depot and picking up, you know, the paint stirrers? They're super thin. I'm going to be picking some of those up, okay? And that should be the perfect thickness for making mugs, because even this is kind of thick, okay? But, however, on the second hand of that, how many of you thought about wanting to take this mug and shape it, like have it out? So if you're going to do something like that, you would want the thicker, because then you'd spray that, and you put your hand in, and you'd start pushing it out. And when but be careful of the seam. It does get a little fragile, but you can actually push that out and create a new shape very carefully. Okay, you'd want to use one of the Lazy Susans, you know, the spinning tables. You don't know? Okay. Over here, I've only got about 4 or 5, and it looks like people are storing their projects on them, and I want you to stop because people need them. So this is the Lazy Susan. It spins, so you set it down, and be careful, if you pick it up by the top, it happens every year. Okay, that's a problem, right? So pick it up by the base, but when you put your project on here, you can use it and spin it while you're working. And you can push that clay out. Okay, and yeah. All right, you can do the same thing up here. You could create a new lip, for example. You could create a mini little pitcher and pull the lip out. Ooh. I don't know how fun that would be to drink from, though. Just kind of a thought. But you could. You technically could. Okay? Questions? Concerns? Go ahead and stop it. All right.